People actually use this victimhood as a tool. Before a person would do something grievous, first he would have to convince himself that he is being victimized. And once you believe that you are the victim and everyone else is guilty, then you feel like you are entitled to attention, to be given priority. You are entitled sometimes to even their lives. How is it possible that Stalin was able to starve millions of people to death? Now, it is one thing for Stalin to want to starve people to death, but it's another thing for him to convince the people of his country to help him in doing that. Now, there is always this way people do it. If you want to see a conversation where the devil himself was completely honest, this was it, because he told God exactly what was in his mind. If you have a victim mentality, you are just begging for things. You beg for justice. You beg for the right thing to be done. You beg for your right to be given out to you. That is victim mentality. You beg for everything that is deservedly yours. But if you have transcended the victim mentality, don't you move away from begging to demanding? How long can you stretch that feeling of victimhood? How long can you stretch it? Hi, salam alaikum. I want to welcome you back to Human Bound Podcast. This is your host, Ali Hambal. I truly appreciate you stopping by, and I can't even express how much I am appreciative of your time. I would not take that time for granted. I want to do everything I can to make sure that the time you give me is an investment on your part. Because if I waste your time, it's as though I wasted a part of your life you can never recover. So this is what I want to do, and thank you very much for stopping by. Now, here's the question I want to ask in this episode. What does it mean to be a victim? Yeah? What does it mean to be a victim? Now, you see, victimhood is something that people actually express on a daily basis, especially in this time of ours. We see many people talking all the time. People do talk all the time. Now, if you watch the space, if you watch the online community, everyone wants to speak about how bad he's been treated. Everybody wants to claim some kind of a justice. Everyone wants to cry and call for some kind of attention. Everyone wants to express his displeasure on how people have mistreated him, so that there is this claim of victimhood. Everyone is claiming victimhood. I want to ask this question, right? What does it mean to be a victim? Are you really a victim? And how does that victimhood mentality affect your life, like socially, personally, psychologically, and economically, and even politically? How much does victim mentality affect your life? Now, this is a very important question, isn't it? It is. Now, I just want to take a look at the religious tradition. And I want to talk about a story that the religious body tell us. Now, this is the beginning, right? In Islamic tradition, in Islamic religion, Allah has spoken about this incident a great deal. And I would like to use this story as sort of an anchor around which I would speak about this victimhood thing. There is a lot going on about this victimhood anyway. Now, here is the story. It is the story of the first encounter of communication between God, Allah, and the devil himself. At least a communication which we have been told to be the earliest. Now, this happened when Allah created the first human being. Now, religiously speaking, I'm trying to bring this story so we can actually talk about it, right? Allah created Adam. Now, before he made Adam, he made angels, and even among the angels, there was one creature. He was not an angel, but he was risen up to the ranks of angels, and he was Iblis, the devil. Right, so when Allah made him, and he was there, and he made Adam. When he made Adam, Allah called on all those creatures within the heaven to bow down to Adam and show some respect for what Allah has made. Show respect for what I have created. So bow down. It's not a bowing down of worship. No, it is of respect by the command of the Creator, the one who made him. But this creature, Lucifer, Iblis, he said, no, I would not do that. Now, this was the trigger of the communication. So Allah asked him, he said, why would you not bow down to something that I have made out of my hand? Now, I want you to understand this. This conversation is the one conversation we know of wherein the devil was completely and absolutely honest. Right? If you want to see a conversation where the devil himself was completely honest, this was it. Even the religious bodies admit and agree that he was really honest in this conversation, because he told God exactly what was in his mind. Yes. Now imagine Allah asking you something and you know what was at stake. He knew what was at stake. He knew you can't defy God. So, primarily and usually what we do when we want to escape any sort of punishment, what do? We lie. Yes, we lie. When we want to escape any consequence, we lie. So you lie to your boss when you are late at work, even though you overslept, but you would tell him it was the traffic jam. You know you're lying, but you want to escape consequences. You want to escape that strike. So you lie to your boss. You even lie to your wife. Yes, where have you been? Now you were out with the boys having fun, talking, nonsense and just having fun, but if you tell her the truth, she is just going to moan, but you don't want her to moan, right? So you just lie to her and then you say, I went to buy you this, unfortunately they closed the shop and I had to go to the other place to buy it for you, and then they closed the shop, and then she would feel bad for you anyway, but you lied. So that is what we do. If you want to escape consequences, we lie. The devil, Iblis, did not lie. No, he didn't. When Allah asked him, why did you not bow down to what I have made? He knew there would be consequences, but he did not lie. Now we all know he did not lie. He told God exactly what was in his heart and what was in his mind. Now here's what he said. I was better than him. Yeah, I did not bow down to him because I was better than him. I was better. And I was better simply because, one, you made me from a superior element, fire, and you made him from a lesser element, which is just a mud, clay. I am therefore better than him, and as a better one, I cannot bow down to someone who is lesser than me. Now, this is rationalization, all right? He is trying to rationalize his defiance to God. I want you to just bring your mind here, because this is where I want our story and our journey to take effect from. Okay? So he defied God, but then he is trying to rationalize it. And the rationality is the hierarchy of priority. So he thinks the higher the element, the higher the status, so that the higher person would not bow down to the lower. That was the rationale of the devil. And he said, I would not bow down to him because I'm better. And I'm better because I was made out of a superior element and he was made from a lesser element. Now, there is more to this. There is more to this. You see, the accounts say that the devil was there before Adam. So the rivalry between the devil and the Adam was not simply a creation thing. It was the feeling inside Iblis that he was being done injustice. I know many people are saying it today. There are a lot of people who worship Lucifer, who worship the devil, and their rationale is that God was not just to the devil. So he was there first, and he should have been given priority. Why would Adam then be given priority over him when Adam was the one who came late? Okay, and then when Allah made Adam, he was giving him the dominion of the earth. But the devil was there already. Why was that denied him? So this is where the feeling of victimhood kicks in the mindset of the devil. So this is the inner feeling. This is where it is. The feeling that I have been victimized. And because I have been victimized, I have to take it out. And I would have to defy. And I would have to feel that I'm entitled to things that ordinarily I wouldn't think about if not because I was victimized. Now, this is the beginning of everything. I want to read to you from a book, right? This is a book written by Gabor Mate. He is a psychologist. Now, this book is a great book, The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a Toxic Culture. Now, I want to read a passage from this book. Now, listen to this. He says, the revolutionary black leader, Malcolm X, his self-abasement when he tried to remake himself according to the standards of a society that rejected who he was. As a young man, he was conking, searing his scalp to obliterate his hair natural curlness. This was my first really big step towards self-degradation, he writes, literally burning my flesh to have it look like a white man's hair. Many years later, as a leader in the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X challenged his audience to confront their own self-loathing. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? He asked. Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such an extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? I winced in recognition when I read these words, having been all too conscious of my easily identifiable ethnic appearance in Eastern Europe. Now, you know Malcolm X, he was quite a very influential person back in the day when the blacks were fighting for equality, racial equality, and they were fighting against inequality and segregation. He was quite a powerful, influential person. Now, he was speaking because he was coming from a background that actually looked down upon his race, his color, and that he feels until he becomes someone else, he would not be accepted. So he had to go to the extreme to look like someone he is not. Now, that was Malcolm X. But then, when he woke up from that, he started challenging that and started calling people that, look, why do you do this? Who taught you to be like this? Who taught you to victimize yourself, to hurt yourself just to look like the other person? Now, victim mentality is a very dangerous mentality. A victim mentality is that mentality that kind of make people feel like they are entitled to certain things. Now, I see, from my background here, in my community, when you are blessed, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given you a way out of poverty. Now you have started to earn some bit of money here and there. Allah has started to shape up your life. So you are blessed. But the community, many people are not as fortunate as you are. So here is what happened. Many people feel like they are entitled to your earnings than yourself. I don't know. Many people feel like if they ask you for a favor, it is not just a favor. No, you don't have a choice. You have to oblige. They feel entitled to you. They feel entitled to your blessing. I don't know if you have ever thought of that. I'm talking about my community. Your community might be different. But where I come from, okay, my community, Zongo community in Ghana, like, if Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed you in any way, now it is good for you to help out, for you to give a helping hand to people who might need your help. But here's the problem. People from the community feels they are entitled to what you have, so that if they come asking for favor, they expect you to treat it as an obligation upon you to help them. So that if you do not help them, you become their enemy number one. Yes, exactly that. I know, that is ridiculous, right? That is ridiculous. That is funny, okay? If a person decides to help you, he decides to help you. Hooray, Alhamdulillah, he's able to do it. And if he is not doing it, pray for him. I mean, you are not entitled to what he has. So you don't go on gossiping about him, right? You don't go on to the base, okay? You don't go on to the tea circle, attire circle, and you start talking ill of him. And this guy is arrogant, right? And this guy, his hand is so dry, right? This guy doesn't help out. The boys. I mean, this guy is this guy is that. What makes you feel so entitled to what he has? Now, people feel that they are entitled because basically you are acquaintances. Because you are friends, that they are entitled to whatever you have. And even when you don't have it, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt. They just outrightly hate you. And they would spread the news everywhere that this guy, no, he is bad. Why? Because I asked him for a favor and he did not even care to do any favors to me. Now, you see, this is the feeling of entitlement. And not just that, some people, especially the women, okay, if we are in love, that's good. We are married. That is very good. But some people, yeah, they feel entitled not just to your attention. Good, give them attention. Some people feel entitled to your life. Now, this is the danger. We know so many news reports that women actually take the life of their partners. Why? Because they have heard rumors that their partners are cheating, for example. All right, he cheats, she cheats. And then they kill them because they did that. Now, you see, they feel like they are entitled to your life. They feel like they own you. And they feel like they have that green light to treat you however they fit because you have done them wrong. And that feeling of victimization give them that sense of like entitlement that they can't do anything to you. They can't do anything they want to you. That is how dangerous the feeling of victimhood is to any human psychology. It's very dangerous. Now, we see this all the time. And people use this victim mentality to exact vengeance to a higher and unacceptable proportions upon people. And I'm going to give you an example. People actually use this victimhood as a tool. I know victimhood is a real thing. I mean, you have been done great evil. Naturally, you feel victimized. You feel bad. And then some people actually use this feeling to actually do some ill. And I want to take you back to what happened during the Russian Revolution, okay? Pardon me, these days, I have been reading a lot of things, and some of them are very dark. I don't want to take you there. But this is what happened, right? How is it possible that Stalin was able to starve millions of people to death? And not just that, okay? Not just that. He got the population of then Soviet Union to help him exact that, to help him make sure that these people were starved to death. How do you get to make that happen? Now, it is one thing, yeah, for you to want to do harm to people, but it's another thing for you to convince other people to help you do harm to a certain group of people. Now, it is one thing for Stalin to want to starve people to death, but it's another thing for him to convince the people of his country to help him in doing that. Now, there is always this way people do it, especially the very evil leaders. They do this. And of course, if they have their ears, if they have the attention of people, they always want to do this. Now, here's what they do. You see, now, I just want you to consider this scenario. Okay. Someone is dying out of hunger. Naturally, you feel sympathetic. And then you want to help the person. Now, what if, in your course of helping him, someone shows up and say, look, that person you're trying to help is a snake. As soon as he gets up, he is going to eat you alive. He is there the way he is because he is evil. He has done so much evil that you are lucky that he is weak right now. So if you dare feed him become strong, he's going to kill you. And all the problems that you are facing in your life is because of what him and his people have done. Now, just like that, your mindset will change about that person. And then all of a sudden, instead of you feeling sympathy for him, you now begin to feel some kind of you now start to feel like he has victimized you because you are in this economic turmoil, right? Nothing is going well. What if you have this situation in your country and your leader, now imagine this, what if you have an economic hardship in your country? Ghana is experiencing some harsh economic situation. Inflation is going up. The exchange rate is always going up, so that the price of goods and services are always going up. And those high rise of price of goods and services are not corresponding with the income and the wages of the citizens, so that people are struggling to actually live. People are struggling to get by in life. Now imagine you having yourself in this situation, and then your government, as a matter of policy, says to you that we have to starve these people to death because all our economic problem is because of this group of people. So do not sympathize with them. They are the cause of your problem. You see where I'm going with this? That is how Stalin, that is how Hitler managed to convince the people of Germany and Soviet Union to help them in doing the evil things they did. In the case of Stalin, the young men who were learning were made to believe that the gulags, the people who were subjected to this famine and suffering and died in millions and subjected themselves to cannibalism, they were seen as like the problem of the Soviet Union. So even though you are dying, people do not sympathize with you. Because why? You are victim. They are the guilty ones. Even though you are the one doing the evil, they are the ones suffering, you feel like you are the victim. So that Stalin made people feel, that even the powerful people felt like they are, or they were, the victims. And the ones suffering were actually the guilty ones. You see how people use victimhood? Because if he doesn't do that, many people would not subscribe to his evil ways. But he had to convince them that you are victims of these people. These people are diseases. Okay? As Hitler said, that the Jewish people were the disease. Literally, he believed that they were diseases and they would have to be cured. The German people would have to be cured from them. That is why he managed to make the people of Germany help him and assist him in taking out all this on the people. And that was how Holocaust happened. You see how it happened? Before a person would do something grievous, first he would have to convince himself that he is being victimized. And once you believe that you are the victim and everyone else is guilty, then you feel like you are entitled to attention, you are entitled to be given priority, you are entitled sometimes to even their lives. That is how dangerous the victim mentality is, because people use it. And I want you to look at it in the Ghanaian political environment. Even in the world politics, okay, in the world politics, just take notice of the communication, okay? This is always manifest in the psychology of the minority. In Ghanaian politics, recently, the MPP, they lost the election, and they lost it in an unprecedented manner, okay? But then I want you to take note of the language of the minority, not just the MPP minority in Ghana. No, I just want you to take notice of the language of all the minorities that came before this one. The language is always this. The communication is always this. First, we have been victimized by the powerful government. The government is in power, so we are weak, and they are victimizing us. Oh, they are dragging us out of our offices. They are exacting injustice upon us. We have been done great evil. and the government is doing this against us, we are weak. We are calling for justice. That is why when people, even the government, goes to the parliament to maybe read a statement or something like a financial statement or the budget or the State of Nations address or anything, you would always see the minority standing up and they would be chanting songs of patriotism, a song that says they would not let oppressors rule prevail and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because that is the mentality of the minority, to kind of communicate to the world that we have been victimized by this powerful government, so that the government would be made to appear as though the Lucifer himself. In the eyes of the public, that has always been the communication. I'm not just speaking about the MPP or the current opposition party. No, I'm speaking to all opposition parties. NDC, MPP, all of them. Even in the world politics, it has all been this, because people use this victim mindset as a tool. And once they make people, why? Because people sympathize with victims. That is the psychology of people. People victimized with victims. They sympathize with victims. So if as a minority you come out and appear as though the powerful one, then you would not sell yourself in the best possible light. People would go like, oh, he's doing fine. Even this government is doing good. No, that's not what every opposition wants. Every opposition wants people to sympathize with him. He wants people to be on his side. So he would have to make himself feel vulnerable, weak in front of this powerful government. And in doing that, he would be careful not to communicate the idea that he is so weak that he can't protect himself. Because if you can't protect yourself, then the populace will go like, even if we put him in power, he can't protect himself. So you would hear Afenyomarkin, for example, say, we are the mighty few. We are few, but the mighty few. They are trying to infringe upon our rights. We are weak and they are powerful, so they want to do what they are doing. People look at what they are doing. But hey, do not get the wrong idea. We are the mighty few. So they will try, but oppressors' rule will not prevail. This is the psychology. This is the communication. Do not be fooled. It is all well programmed. That is why just watch the language of Afenyomarkin, who is the leader of the minority in the country. Like, he says this in every single communication. Now, do you think it is just by chance that they coined that word, that phrase, minority, mighty minority? No. It's a design. Okay? It is a design to say that even though they are weak under this government, but then they will not let oppressors' rule slide. That is just it. So look at the world politics as well. It happens just the same. Before you invade a country, you would have to let the world support you. And how do you do that? Let the world know that you are victimized. Let the world know that these people are evil and you would be a victim and you have to protect them yourself. Listen to the communication, okay? Listen to the communication of every powerful country in the world. Why are you doing this to these people? We are trying to protect ourselves. If not protecting yourself, is protecting your community, or protecting your social settings, or protecting a political system that helps people a lot of times, that if you don't do this, it's going to get destroyed. So it's all about victim mindset. Now, that is what people do. Now, I want you to take a look at the feminist movement, for example. What is the message? The message is, we have been subjected to the weaker position, the weaker station in life for a very long time. We have been victimized. We have been traumatized. Now the message is all like, oh, there is an oppression against us, but we can't allow it to stand anymore. So that the women would always say, we are not safe. We have to be protected. We are not safe. So that everyone is trying to say it. You know, I listen to a lot of people speak in a very harsh language. And this is what I get from, the idea I get from it is that people are speaking from victim mindset, that they are so frustrated and they are just shouting. Now, you listen to a lot of podcasts You listen to a lot of communications. You listen to a lot of things people say these days without any water in there. Nothing. It's just shouting. Everyone is shouting. Why? Because everyone has some sense of entitlement, that he has some sense of he must be given, he must be heard, that he is entitled to some kind of attention, some kind of compassion and sympathy. Everyone thinks he is entitled to that. And that is very dangerous. That is why no one is listening to anyone. Everyone is just talking over each other. We are just talking over each other. We don't listen to each other. Why? Because you feel you are victimized and you are entitled to something. I feel I have been victimized and I am entitled to something. So that if you are entitled, I am entitled. Why don't we just talk over each other? So you complain and I complain, and at the end of the day, no one listens to each other. But those people who don't have any sense of entitlement or victim mentality, they will just be sitting on the side and they will be just watching. Very calm. They are very calm because they feel like this is what the world has given me. I just have to work hard. I don't know if you have realized this, but people with victim mentalities always appeal to the sympathetic side of people rather than the just part of people. They don't want you to be rational. No, they don't want you to be just. They always want you to sympathize with them. This is the trick of so many toxic people. I don't know if you have ever been in a relationship with a toxic person. He always wants to stimulate the sympathetic side of you. Even when he is in the wrong, he would use that to manipulate you emotionally. So they are master emotional manipulators, and they would make you feel as though they are the victim of what they themselves have done. That is toxic people. They don't appeal to the just and rational side of you. They always appeal to the sympathetic side of you, even when they don't deserve it. That is the mentality, the victimhood mentality. It is so wrong. All right, you are victimized. At some point, you have been done great wrong. Naturally, you feel victimized. Psychologically, you respond to that. Psychologically, you respond to that bad experience. You respond to that. But here is the question: how long can you stretch that feeling of victimhood? How long can you stretch it? Is it 10 years? Is it forever? How long can you remain victim? Because the book I just read to you, The Myth of Normal by Mate Gabor, he says that sometimes generationally people kind of harbor this feeling of victim mentality so that it affects the whole mindset of a whole group of people. So that if you want to understand why certain group of people behave the way they are, so sentimental, so sensitive, so emotional, then you trace it back to their sense of victimhood. That is the mindset. And I hate to admit that at some point when I started going into the out of my comfort zone to start something different with different people, to do things that I'm not really good at, starting to learn different people, different environment, different work, where you have to endure insult and, where you have to endure being stupid in a strange land. I mean, at some point you would have to endure being stupid in a strange land, especially when you really deserve it because you don't know much. You are simply stupid. I felt like, why are these people treating me like this? They are victimizing me. I did not realize that, no, they are not doing that to me because they knew me. No, they are doing that to me because I am simply being stupid. I am simply not growing up to the task. I felt like they are bad people. No, they weren't bad people. They were just taken aback by my sheer lack of appreciation of intelligence. I was just not competent and I was not up to the task. So they really looked down upon me, and it was a very bad experience. Now, for the beginning, I tried to justify that and say, these people, they don't know how good I am in certain areas. But yes, you are good at certain areas, but this is the area you are in and you are stupid. And you do not justify your stupidity at this area by your appreciation of competence in certain area. Why don't you go back to that area then? But if you are here on this field, you really have to up your game. But then people justify that with that victim mentality. I have been victimized. He is rude. He is not doing this right way. And you have been so sensitive and so sentimental. Now, this is the trap in which I fell in, and I suffered for it. For so long, I tried as best as I can to get rid of it. Initially, I tried to justify it, but then sometime along the way, I came to understand, oh my goodness, this was the mentality I came out with. Yes. I came out from a background where we have this victim mentality, that we have been whipped by so much injustice, that so many people are enjoying at our expense, that I feel like I have been victimized by my background, so that always I would have to use my background as an excuse not to excel. People do that. Yes. So that your humble background always doesn't even allow you to dream big, because you are from this poor background and everyone from your background can only rise to a certain mediocre limit, so that when you are out there and people ask you, why are you not excelling? Instead of you saying, I am learning, you say, no, it's my background. So that your background becomes your justification. Your background is where you lay the blame. That is victim mentality. And it is shameful to admit that I felt it. I mean, I don't know if you have ever come in direct contact with your weakness. Like your weakness is glaring you right in the face. If you have never come in contact with your weakness, I mean, there is some growth waiting for you. Yeah, because sometimes your weakness would have to just open its face bare and look at you in the eyes. And it is so scary. It's like looking in the eyes of the dragon. That is the dragon that keeps pushing it away from thinking, from going forward. Now, you see, there is that weakness, but because you are protected by so many people within the same circle that is just the same as you are, and then you feel secure, and you always talk about this, and it is normal. So you don't really feel the weakness. So many people from my community, the Zongo community, have this same kind of mentality. And we don't really appreciate, we don't even see that there are these weaknesses. We don't see that we have this victim mentality, and that is what is exactly the thing that is crippling us. We don't see it. So we always have to sort of justify it. And then it makes sense because everyone around us is talking about the same thing. Everyone around us is saying it's normal. Everyone around us is saying it's normal, so that we kind of bury and make our wound dry, but the pain is there right until you get out and you start pushing in life. That is when your wound would open its mouth like a dragon with fire gushing from its mouth. That is your weakness facing you in the face, and you would be devoured by it. And initially, because of this victim mentality, you would go like, these people, I am so much proud in my place. Why is he doing this? He doesn't know who I am. Yeah, Zongo people, we are very proud people. Yes, we are very proud people, Zongo people, and rightly so. You have to be proud. But the pride would have to know his place, okay? In a global world, we are just a drop of speck. Now, we are hardworking people. We are hardworking people, very intelligent people. Now, this has been proven time and again whenever we go out of the community. The laziness mostly associated to my people in Zongo is just because we have it cool. And everyone is just like that. So it's cool, it's normal. And whenever something is normal, people treat it as normal. Right until you start to do something to really do something. And that is when your weakness will manifest. And then you don't justify it. You don't feel like you are entitled to what the world is giving you. You would learn that victim mentality is the enemy. You don't justify it. You just have to learn. Humble yourself and learn. And then you earn by that. It is a simple principle. Allah says that. He says that a man would get nothing except that for which he works for, not that for which he begs for. If you have a victim mentality, you are just begging for things. You beg for justice. You beg for the right thing to be done. You beg for your right to be given out to you. That is victim mentality. You beg for everything that is deservedly yours. But if you have transcended the victim mentality, don't you move away from begging to demanding? So you demand your right. You demand for justice. You demand for what is rightly yours. That is the difference in language when it comes to victim mentality and someone who has transcended victim mentality. And trust me, if you want to heal from this, it's going to take a while, but acknowledge it and then treat yourself out of it. And do not go on crying all the time. Do not go on trying to appeal to the sensitivity and sympathy of so many people. There is one guy who says, I think I have heard this leader, I forgot his name, in one of them podcasts, on Lex Friedman podcast. He is saying that on an individual level, you appeal to the sentiments, but on a public level, you appeal to justice. Yes, that's why you don't go on crying to a judge. The judge only sees justice. So when you go to the court, you demand justice. You don't beg for justice, but you have to transcend that victim mentality and know what you are deserved of and demand it. Victim mentality is a dangerous mentality. If you have been wronged, yes, you feel it, you respond to it naturally as a human being, but do not stretch it beyond what it deserves, so that you transcend, so that you go beyond being a victim and now you have become some low-level guy and you have become a tyrant or some kind of a demon or something. So this is what I think about victim mentality. There is a lot of it going on in the world, and I believe in as much as it's difficult for us to get rid of it, it is an absolute necessity that we identify it and we treat it as such with so much urgency. There are a lot of things that is going on among our women. Many people feel disappointed in their leaders. They are shouting, they are talking, they feel victimized, they feel disappointed. That's why many people are shouting. But that is a dangerous thing. Everyone feels victimized. But are we really to dwell on that? Or are we really supposed to do what we have to do, get rid of that, and move on with our lives? Now, this is what I think. I don't know what you think about all what I have said, but let me know what you think, and I would really appreciate that. This is your brother Ali Humble. I just hosted Human Bound Podcast, and I should catch you in the next episode. Take care.